Walk around the corner. They ain't gonna get you.
Babe.
Yes, ma'am.
Did y'all make bets yet?
Bets? On what?
On who's gonna do the best? Which calf?
I think 10's gonna do. 10 or 15 is gonna be the best performers.
10 or 15, all right.
Well, the day has come. It's time. Today is our final weigh-in for Clancy's commercial steers for his 4-H project at the county show, for the county show. So today all the exhibitors will bring their steers up to the sale barn. We'll get their final weights on them. They'll give us our sale price, which is what we would theoretically have sold them for today if we'd have sold them. And then they'll have the rest of this week to do their record book, which we're going to put a copy of that or something in the link below where y'all can kind of figure those numbers yourself the way Clancy's going to have to do. But we'll get that done. He'll get his record book done. We'll have it done tonight. We'll do a pencil copy of it tonight because he'll have to memorize all those figures for what, Clance? Why do you have to memorize those?
Because I have a test after I do a test, and then I have an interview that I need to know all my stuff on about my steer.
All right, hang on for a sec. So what he's talking about is when he gets to the show, we'll take his steer to the show. And all the other exhibitors they'll bring one steer. Like we fed out 6 steers, 5 and 1, or let's do it this way, 6. In my sale barn days, this was 6. You point one finger down. Anyways, so we will take his steer to the show. It'll be judged on its conformation, so there'll be a physical evaluation done on it, and on top of that, he will take a quiz, which will be basically the numbers like we're going to give you guys. There'll be a theoretical, what's the word I'm looking for here? A hypothetical situation that says, a buyer bought a steer at this much, fed it for this many days, this many pounds of feed, this much vet expense, blah, 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 blah. And they'll have to do a quiz. And then they go in and do about a 10 to 15 minute interview with the judge, and he asks them about their project and then also about industry knowledge, like, maybe how many head of cattle are killed in the United States each year, where's our largest export market, who's the largest importer of beef into the United States, what country.
Or how many steers are born a year?
How many steers are born a year? Put your answer in the comment section there. How many steers are born in the United States each year? So stuff like that, and he'll do an interview, and then they'll crown the winner that afternoon. So today is, like I said, is weigh-in. So since the feeding period has ended now, we are going to weigh our corn. That way we know we've got some corn left in our corn trailer. We know what it weighed the day when we filled it up. We'll take it back now and get a weight on it, and that'll give us an idea of how much feed we fed since we filled it up last. And then we'll add up all of our corn for the whole feeding period. So right now we're going to hook up the corn trailer. I'm going to jump out. Clancy's going to back up there. I'm going to try to stand in a spot where he can't see me like he does me and give him directions and then get mad when he doesn't do what I'll tell him to. We got the guard dog pups. We've turned them out of their little pen to give them some runaround time, and they are into everything, guys. All right. Come on back. He's got a camera, so he should be able to put it right on there, but we'll see. Got to jack it up a little. That's good. Oh yeah, all right, well go ahead and hook her all up there. Hang on, you got to pull that pin out of there. It ain't going nowhere. Oh, where's them big muscles at? Stop, you don't even have it closed. It's like every time we do it, we got to start all over. Like there's no memory left in these brains. I don't know what's happened to children nowadays.
I mean, you're a child, so why are you?
There's no plug on it. Your dog chewed it off, so raise the jack leg up. All right, so what's the last thing we need to do before we drive off to make sure we don't drop any corn on the ground? This has been a handy little feed trailer. All we use it for is hauling corn for the steers. We just took this, take this little deal, tighten her up on there, and that and it just has to be hand tied. It don't have to be super duper. Are you turning it the right direction?
What way do I turn it? Right or left?
It ought to be getting tight instead of getting longer. You're going the wrong direction. Note to you folks, if you're turning something that you want to get tight and it's getting loose, turn the other direction. So it just hooks under the bottom of the spout here and goes up to the handle, and that's good. If you tighten on it too much, it just bends the handle out. But all we're doing is keeping it as we drive down the road and we hit bumps and stuff, the gate doesn't pop open and run a bunch of corn out on the ground. Number one, it's too expensive to be wasting, and number two, we don't want to just dump it on the ground for no reason. So, all right, we got this done. Now we're going to head up to just a couple of miles from here. There's a fertilizer plant that has a drive-on set of scales. We're going to go over there, drive on top of it, and get us a weight here, and then we'll have an idea how much corn we fed. So, here's the steer ration, whole corn. These little pellets right here are beef trait, made by ADM, and then coastal hay. And you can see what the steers are looking like here. When we get ready to load them later this afternoon, we'll take you along and show you. And when we run them across the scales and stuff, you'll be able to see what they weigh. So stay tuned. All right, so we've made it to the fertilizer plant. I'm gonna flip y'all around here. So this is the scales. Let's do this. Let's pull over here and make sure the outside light right there, there's a little red deal above the window. It's not lit up, so that don't mean nothing. That sure don't mean nothing around here. It could just be that they got it turned off or something. But we're gonna back up here. This pickup and corn trailer weighs somewhere between 10.9 and 11.7, so that's about an 800-pound difference, depending on how many cubes we have in their cake feeder. So what I'll probably do is we filled this corn trailer 4 or 5 times during the feeding period. So what we'll do is just take an average weight, and that's what we're going to call this pickup and trailer for today. All right, let's go see what she weighs. Let's let her in. All right, so 12,300 pounds. So if we just say we weighed, let's say 11.3 was our, that's a good even number, 11.3. So we've got about 1,000 pounds of corn in there, and that's about right. I'm based on where we can feel the corn at when we beat on the side. So just remember 12.3. We're not going to print a ticket or anything. There's no reason for us to do that today. But so on this corn trailer here, it's empty all the way down to this line. As this V goes down, there's also slants that come in from the side. So it's not, you can't put corn all the way over to this side and all the way up to the top, because there's a little V in there to keep the corn where it just nearly completely empties out. So yeah, we've got about 1,000 pounds of corn left in there. So that's good. And that's tracking about right. We've been getting corn, usually, I think the last few times we've gotten corn somewhere around the 5th or 6th of each month. So with 1,000 pounds left in there, and those steers eating about 18 to 180 pounds to 200 pounds a day. They've got about 5 days left in there, and that's about right. That would put us somewhere around the 6th or the 7th or 8th. So yeah, that's about right, about 1,000 pounds. All right, back to the house. What are we gonna do when we get back to the house?
We're gonna unhook the trailer.
Unhook the trailer. Then we're gonna weigh some blocks of hay. We know how much hay we fed. We do everything on the averages just because that's the easiest way to do it. We're going to weigh a few blocks of hay, 2 or 3 different blocks, and kind of get an average weight on what a block of hay weighs. We know we've had a block of hay every morning, a block of hay every evening each day. We know how many days our feeding period has been, and then that'll give us an idea of how many pounds of hay we fed throughout the course of the feeding period. So back to the barn. So they get all the corn they want each day, but their hay and their beef trait is limited. So the hay, they only get about a pound a head per day, and then the beef trait, they get 3/4 of a pound per head per day, 3/4 to a pound. We've just got a scooper that's kind of got some marks on the side of it. So, you can see the cattle have done extremely well. Just looking over their top lines, look how broad these steers are. Deep chests in them, in that brisket area there. When you look at, open the gate over here, bub. The camera doesn't really do them a good job of expressing how big they really are. The two red ones are a little bit behind. The black ones, they started 100 pounds lighter. So they're going to be 100. I expect them to be lighter when we get to the final weigh-in tonight. But that guy's big. I'm thinking these steers are going to weigh somewhere in the 1,400 range, maybe a little heavier, but like that number 12 right there, this black one right here, he's the least, he comes up the least often to the feeder when you're standing out here, but he's really a good calf. You can see right there on each side of their tail. I'll try to get you a closer shot later. Well, I'm not going to traipse through the mud for you tonight, but right now, but you can see right here, and like I'll get number 10 right here. He's a fatty. But right there on his tail, each side of his tail, you can see the pone starting to form on each side of his tail head. That's one of the last places they finish to show their fat. So these steers are doing pretty good. You know, obviously this steer is probably the biggest. I say that, but then, the black ones are all pretty close to each other. The least performer so far, I think, is this red steer back here in the back. He's just not as big boned as these other steers. Just not as a little more feminine, I would say. He's good. He's going to eat good, but he's not as good as these other steers. They've tore their feeder up. This is our mineral feeder that's got mineral in it and salt. The reason it's got that little blue tinge to it, it does have a little bit of copper in it. But we're going to get out of here and let them get back over and get to eating. We don't want to move them around too much because we have weigh-in this afternoon, and even just this little bit of movement can pull a few pounds off of them. We don't want that happening. But one thing we did notice a lot of when we started this program, when we started talking about this, not so much on here on Facebook, on YouTube, but on TikTok, people talk about, well, if you feed a cow that much straight corn, it's just going to pass right through them. Which, yes, there is a lot of corn that passes through it, but if you took a sample of that, all the energy is gone from that corn. That additive that we use, that beef trait additive, pulls that, it feeds the microbes in their stomach, which allows them to process the corn internally and get what they need out of that corn. So, to have fed these steers somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, probably 3,500 pounds of corn each over the last 150 days. There's not a whole lot of corn left here on the ground in this pen. This is a 40 by 40 pen with 6 steers in it. That's more than adequate enough space for them to each have what they need. So yeah, if y'all got any questions, drop them down there in the comments. We're gonna go do a little figuring.
It sprung his ankle.
Good job, Nala.
Izzy, here.
Walk on up there.
Well, she's in the way.
They're fine, Bob.
Get him, Izzy. Let's get him. Come on, get him.
What's your gate? Hey. I built a bracket that bolts onto the bed.
I'm not looking at here.
Got Bub down there. He closed
Settle
the
down,
gate.
boys.
He's
Settle
ready.
down.
So Cody's unloading. Here come the red ones. Number 15.
That sucker.
And here we've got number 12, 11, 10, and I don't know.
Hip. Hip. Hey, boys. Walk on up there, steers. Grab your gate. Bring it around. You really picked the one that was...
I'll go back this way. Huh?
Yeah, bring them
Did y'all
back to
make
here.
bets yet?
Bring them back to here. Go walk in that pen. They ain't gonna get you. Walk around the corner. They ain't gonna get you.
Babe,
Yes, ma'am.
did y'all make bets yet?
Bets on what?
On who was gonna do the best? Which calf?
I think 10's gonna do. 10 or 15 is gonna be the best performers.
10 or 15.
You stay on this side, hey, Lance, and open this gate when it needs to be open.
Taking this, you want to practice more to take that.
And number 10. $1,500.